Listen to me very clearly here. Mark Zuckerberg never created the intellectual work for Facebook. He never did. I am the one that wrote the intellectual work to create Facebook. But they don't want anybody to know about it. A secret society and the groups that are with them do not want anybody to know about it. Putin doesn't want anybody to know about it. And those groups are embedded into the government. Okay? So, listening very closely. Okay? I was involved in the government in a 9/11 cover-up with the groups that are now behind Trump. Okay? While I was involved with the cover-up, towards the end, I let Mark Zuckerberg stay at my home, and he robbed me and took everything. And that's how we started Facebook. But he also stole national security secrets from my home. It was also within those plans, along with some other designs and intellectual work. Okay? Now, why is this important? You know what? Over the years, everybody tells me to shut up. I've had people insult me. Oh, you're a liar. You're a puny man. Right? Bullshit. Okay? Why is this so important? Well, since the pre-event, which was May of 2000, I knew of the 9/11 attacks going to happen. I knew the entire plans, all of it. Okay? And I knew at that point many of the grand plans. I got to see a binder. My hands will show it here. It was about that thick, like that. Okay? With all these grand plans and government papers in it. Signatures, everything. Okay. Why do you need to listen to me, and why you should have all the people that I've asked for help with over the years should have listened. But hold on. When I became the monitored witness, they were so afraid of it getting out that they were killing people around me that came in contact with me. Okay. The secret society and the groups are embedded within the government and have people in power positions and making the decisions to dock people off, okay, to hide me. Now, for me to come out like this right now with Trump in office, this is dangerous because I look for them to put a hit on me really soon. I really do, okay? But you need to understand something. Zuckerberg is connected to these groups. Okay, I don't think when he was at my home and he stole my intellectual work, I don't think he was connected to the groups then. Okay, it came afterward. Okay, the groups knew of my intellectual work and they wanted it to start the social site. Originally, it was going to be called My Journey. Join me in my journey, and I'll join you on yours. An internet social site that helps find a cure for neuromuscular diseases and helps fund shelters and free clinics and brings the world to my friend that's paralyzed and, right? Because that's the reason I created the intellectual work was to help a friend that was paralyzed, okay, to bring the world to her, okay? But the groups realized what I was doing, and I wrote a part in the plans that it could be used as the ultimate spy program, okay? It could overthrow governments, be the ultimate propaganda machine. It could control the stock market and take down companies. That's a pretty powerful tool, right? So I didn't want him to have it. And in the plans, I wrote about that, and I wrote that they specifically could not get control of this, okay? Well, Mark was going to help me do the coding because my friend that was in a hacking club with Mark wouldn't do it. Okay? But then everything got switched around. And Howardson got involved, which is his friend and mentor and later become his lawyer, and suggested that I would just get in the way and slow it down. Why? And it's such a great idea. Why doesn't Mark, which I knew was at that time was Marcel Elliott Zuckerberg, I always thought it was kind of strange. When he first came to my home, it was Marcel Elliott Zuckerberg and Eduardo Sovereign. Kind of sounds like something out of a movie, where they take a trip. But anyway, they offered to to pay me a percentage to use my work. I mean, I didn't want to deal with it. I just wanted to create it to help my friend. I didn't want to become a multi-billionaire. I live a pretty simple lifestyle, you know. And as long as I have enough money to live off from, well, do what I want to do, that's all I need. I don't need a fortune, you know. But I had health problems too at the time, and I didn't know what was wrong. Okay? So anyway, they approached me to let him use it and then pay me. We hashed out an agreement. Mark kept on complaining because the amount that he owed me was too much. And it was really, I mean, if you're going to make you a billionaire, he owed me 15 cents on every dollar, and he had to donate to help fund free clinics and shelters and help find a cure for neuromuscular diseases. Wow, that's cheap, right? Or he owed me 20 cents on every dollar made from using my work, right? And then I would do that. Because I also wanted to create a foundation called the Lynn Shakespeare and Tiffany Musil Foundation. Tiffany Musil was my friend that contracted spinal meningitis and became paralyzed. And she's now had passed. Okay. So anyway, Mark tried to back out of it. And after he asked me to say on recording that I gave him my intellectual work and all rights to it. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. You're trying to screw me, and that ain't going to happen. Okay? And then he said, well, if you ain't going to say that, then I don't want anybody to know this was ever even done, because I don't want anybody to know I didn't create the work and it was you. Okay? Well, on the last day, he stole everything, right? Went back to Harvard. Now, he was in Iowa because after he got in trouble at Harvard, he came to Iowa. He's got relatives that live here. Came here to Iowa to take classes at Iowa State, and he bought a school bus. You heard that right. He bought a school bus. He was going to live out of it. And that's how I met Mark. He came to my house with the school bus the next weekend. Eduardo and Mark was here the first time, right? And then they came back with a school bus with Priscilla Chan, a school bus, and a dog, and Mark, right? And he stayed the holiday weekend working on the bus, okay? Well, anyway, he stole it all and went back to Harvard, even though he was registered for classes at Iowa State, and left. And then started, hey, look, somebody gave me the $1 billion internet plan for a social site, and oh, wow, so much more. I'm so lucky. But he didn't. He didn't have it given to him. He ripped me off. But he stole, but when he stole it, there was national security secrets from me being involved in that 9/11 pre-event and hiding that knowledge, okay, which was not good. So what you need to understand is, I'm trying to get to this point, it's so long, is that Mark eventually became involved in the secret society in these groups, okay, which is behind Trump, right? So the basic battle began, and Howitson and Zuckerberg called me wanting me to give a statement that I gave him my intellectual work, all rights to it, and I instructed Mark to create a new creation history to hide me as the author, which would back up what Mark had said when he took my work. He stole it and took it back to Harvard, okay? And I refused. There was this huge argument over the phone. Well, we had visitors that weekend. We had a state trooper visiting that was listening on the phone, a friend staying. Okay, there was a friend from in town here, a friend staying, and then my mom. And then the state trooper had his relative here. All these people are listening on that phone call. All of them, okay? And one of them knew Mark. This is very interesting. One of them actually knew Mark, okay? And he was really surprised. Well, they got me to say something supposedly out of context. And then the lawyer says, we got it, we don't need him no more. So they were planning on either tricking me to get me to say something and taking all the recordings that Mark had done when he was at my home and create a fictitious recording that sounded like I'm doing this video and I'm moving my hands and I'm speaking and I'm instructing Mark Zuckerberg how to use this intellectual property and create the site and instruct him not to reveal who I am, right? And that is how Facebook won. That's how the battle won. But it was never public because it was hidden. They didn't want anybody to know. The secret societies didn't want anybody to know. And the government, the people within the government didn't want it known. Because, and the government itself didn't want it known, because if they let me be known as the author, then what would happen? I'd be on TV. And then at some point, maybe I might say, hey, you know, I was at a 9/11 pre-event. You wouldn't believe all the dirt I know, right? All this future stuff that's going to happen. So they don't want that, right? So they hid me. Then the Social Network book was created, right? Which became a movie, which is fiction to push the fraud. The intellectual property theft and fraud to hide it, okay? Now, it's true, it does have some truth to it. It has some facts in it that are right, but they're misplaced or out of order. Got that? And it doesn't include going to Iowa State. It doesn't include going to Iowa. It doesn't include going to my home. It doesn't include getting the intellectual property from me, my work, and sealing it and taking it back to Harvard. It doesn't include that. They hid all that. The whole freaking Facebook creation history is bogus bullshit. Okay? Now, after all that was done, where did Zuckerberg go? Where did he go? Where did he go? Okay? We know who he has for investors before this point, because it's the same investors that I was going to have. But where did he go afterward? Putin. He went to Russia and seen Putin. Putin became his biggest investor. Surprised? Right? Because Putin's linked to the secret society that's also behind Trump. Bunch of Nazis, right? For world domination. Got that? Okay. And who does Howitson start working for? The Rothschilds. Okay? Oh, I'm pissed. But I got a little secret for you. Here's a good one. Before Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson ever got involved with this secret society, guess who was offered mentorship into it? The one and only me. Yep, at the age of 21. Why would somebody like me be offered mentorship into a secret society? I wonder why. Well, I'll give you a good hint here. Well, no, okay, I'll just tell you. So my last name is Shakespeare. I'm related to the royal family. We shared a family reunion for years, but I never felt like I fit in, so I only went to like 2 of them. Yeah, when I went to the family reunions, the Duke of Windsor was at it. I don't know if there was any other royals, I really didn't know what they looked like. I mean, I was young, you know. So you ever heard the name Illuminati and the New World Order, right? If you remember, Bush was talking about the New World Order during 9/11, right? Remember that? Okay, so there is a royal line, and all the royal lines are interconnected. Originally, there was a royal line in Russia, and that royal line was also connected to the British monarchs, okay? And then other countries. It was all interconnected. They were all interconnected, okay? Well, I'm part of that, or supposed to be part of that bloodline, okay? I'm related, but, you know, am I really genetically related? Well, I did the genetic test. Oh, sure enough. Wow. So something there, a lot of, you know, history, you know, royal lines and all that, you know. Okay, so what is different about the illuminated, or the name for it, I can't think of it. Okay, so what's different? Okay, so here it is. Okay, you're going to hear this. You really rarely ever really hear anything about the secret societies, about this stuff. So here it is. Okay, so through the bloodlines, okay, you will hear the word called descendant. Okay, what's a descendant? Okay, well, you're actually all descended from the bloodline if you're genetically related, right? But when they talk about descendant, a descendant is one of those in the bloodline where genetics seem to be heightened. Okay, those believed to be genetics has something to do with your head. Okay, believe it or not, it has something to do with Enki and aliens and all that stuff too. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But listen. So the ones that have this genetic line, that's that Rh negative, rare blood. I got that rare blood. Okay. Well, anyway, the every one of them winds up going through a similar history. Okay. See if this sounds familiar. The bright light shining on the baby. Believe it or not, that's one of them. A blue light fills the room. That's another one. Glowing ball winds up next to the baby's head or the young kid's head. Really quite bright. You can't see through it. This isn't like a bubble. This is a solid thing. Okay? And then it can go through walls. Then what? Then you got the flashes of light. Okay? And then you find out the alarm clocks are 2 to 2.5 hours off, just where the kid was at. Okay? You getting this? Trying to catch that? That's the enlightened ones. Okay? Now, those enlightened ones eventually start surfacing ability. That ability is, and it really does sound crazy, and I tell you something, I always thought this was fake shit. I always did. I really did, until I was taught differently and shown that it's, well, because, I'm one of these people now, But it's a curse. It really is. The whole thing is a curse, right? Nothing really great about it, I suppose, unless you're in world domination and that secret society. Okay, so your thoughts can be projected onto others. Okay, do you remember? I'm not really a religious person, but let's say in the Bible, from what my religious friends have told me in the Bible, God speaks to you within your head. Okay, so the enlightened ones have an ability to project thoughts. Okay, but they can project thoughts to a small area or a large area. Okay, crazy, right? You're right. It sounds crazy. Now, the only thing that I can say for sure that I have witnessed for myself is if I'm sitting at my computer and I kind of think about something, electronics go to hell. Wi-Fi quits, my TV signal quits, my radio signal quits, my computer might crash. It has crashed, this I can tell you. So, in that point of view, yeah, it's real. But what can it really do? I don't know. So anyway, I was invited into mentorship into one of those, or the secret society, okay, for descendants, right? But they're really kind of racist. They don't like certain people. But, the descendants can be in other races of people, but these ones prefer not. Okay. In fact, I was about to marry a girl, and they really had a problem with her. Okay. And I really don't know what her genetic line was, but they did not like her genetic line. She was white. So anyway, I could go on for hours. So here's what I'm telling you. Okay. I'm mad, Now, I never was the type of person that thought, that I was better than anybody else. My nose is running. Okay. I never was one of those people that thought I was better than everybody else or I had to have the greatest things. I lived a modest lifestyle. Okay. But, and I never threw the name around. And even though my last name is Shakespeare, and even though we're related to the royal family. I never threw the name around. I never did. That's just not the way I was brought up. But listen to this. You got Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson in this group, in the secret societies, that I was offered mentorship into, but they're not even part of the bloodline like me. Now, that don't exactly seem right, does it? Okay, now the curse of being one of the enlightened ones, okay? Sometimes it has a bad genetic problem, okay? Sure, genetics surface, but it can be bad. For me, I have Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy. So my body's breaking down, right? My nervous system's breaking down. I can't stay still. Okay, I have muscular dystrophy. Eventually, I get weak, and then I walk like I'm drunk, and I fall over. Okay, I'm up moving around, but some people that have muscular dystrophy move around because you don't want to be on a damn wheelchair, do you? And then eventually, we get so tired we have to sit in a wheelchair, or we have to sit in a chair and just, stay in the house, right? So anyway, so that's one of the problems about being one of those people, okay? Now, so if I didn't tell you this, they left me absolutely 100% broke. I don't want my video taken off, but I tell you something. I want Zuckerberg's head. I want Mark Howitzon's head. I want those bastards to pay for what they did to me. They left me 100% completely broke. Penniless. Okay? I don't live off SSDI. I will never see Social Security. I was working ridiculous hours when I was working. In fact, I was working 60 hours straight doing security work for a company that melted down currency for the federal mint. Did you hear that? That's what I did for a job. Okay? And I was offered the position of a security advisor to South Korea. You realize if I would have taken that job, you probably would have seen me on TV, on the world news. But I didn't do the job. I turned it down. The government wanted me to take it, and on our side, and the Koreans wanted me to take it. But I was more interested in getting a social site online for my paralyzed friend. And I was hoping that I would make enough money from this social site to find a cure for muscular dystrophy and neuromuscular diseases, for my friend could walk again, for she could get up out of that wheelchair and walk on her own. But you want to know what happened? He died. If Mark would have got Facebook online without trying to hide everything and rip everybody off, it would have been on soon enough that she would have been able to contact me and be used just exactly the way it was supposed to be used, to bring the world to her, for she would have an instant contact between friends and relatives, right? But he didn't get it online fast enough for everybody else. He had to shyster everybody, right? Play the shell game and hide where he got the plans from, right? So what happened was, my friend, she lived in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I live in Central City, Iowa. So she's about 20-some miles from me, okay? Well, the company that built computers here in Cedar Rapids closed. Her dad was an engineer. So he left and took a job working for Boeing. So she's paralyzed from the waist down. So they took her with them, okay, to Arlington, Washington. Okay, that's what I meant, to Arlington, Washington, right? And she got sick again, and I didn't know it. And her mom and dad was trying to get in contact with me. Of course, I'm busy, I'm busy. They can't get in contact with me. But if the site would have been up, she would have been able to. So she knew she was going to die, and she desperately was trying to get in contact with me. She had some last words she wanted to say to me, and she had a secret that she had been holding on all these years. And you know what, Mark? Because of you ripping me off, I wasn't able to talk to my friend before she passed away. Never going to forgive you. So, but now I have muscular dystrophy, epidermal muscular dystrophy, and Sjogren's and Meniere's, and I live off nothing. Okay, I sold my. You know what? I used to do pretty. I was doing pretty good originally. I had a classic car collection. I had a house, but it was a dump. But it was paid for, you know. And then after Mark ripping me off, I sold off everything. You can see this old dirty building behind me. I'm living at the home I grew up in. It's just my mom. She's almost 90 years old. Her and I are living together, and I take care of her. Okay? But before then, my uncle had an eye stroke that used to do truck driving, and I took care of him too. Okay? So after Mark ripped me off and I got the muscular dystrophy, this is my life. I'm dirt ass poor, broke. And I'm living with my mom, and I take care of her. Okay? Like I said, I don't need much. But once she's gone, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. But shouldn't the person that created the intellectual work that was used to create Facebook see something rather than nothing? Should I be left totally broke? Now, with Trump in office, they're going to get rid of the health care that I have. Okay? I was forced on Medicaid, and it saved my life. I had to have heart surgery because they took the electrical system, right? So they had to fix it. Okay? But without it, I'm going to die. Oh, that'd make Mark happy. You know? So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want people to take notice. Oh, well, wait a minute. There is one thing. I started writing a book. In fact, I wrote the book. But I have to go and do corrections on it and revisions. And I tell you something. When you have muscular dystrophy, you know, it affects the muscles. You know, it affects every bit of you, you know. So if I'm sitting at a computer, I tell you, I get tired, okay? I wrote hundreds of pages, and I'm up to doing 97 on the revisions. But I can't do it fast enough because I'm too tired. Well, there you go, guys. Now you know. I hope somebody listens and does something to help me.